We started the Santa Monica Baykeeper in 1993 because we found that our clean water laws were not really being enforced. But we didn't see a police force on the water that was actually identifying the sources of pollution and degradation to the habitat and doing something about it.
The ocean is definitely one of the most precious resources we've got. It differentiates Los Angeles from all the other major cities because we've just got a great ocean down here. And between myself or my son, we're definitely in the water 3, 4, 5 times a week. Dan Emmett was explaining it to me, and he said, we're basically the police force versus, other groups, other environmental groups, or like the city council. So I think that as far as the bang for your donation buck, there's no better place to put the dollars than LA Waterkeeper.
Jay Borzi was just getting involved with LA Waterkeeper when I was on board, and it's so delightful to see that he's still involved in the organization as a board member, as an advocate for the organization, and as someone who supports an advocacy and enforcement approach to ensuring that our waterways are clean.
When I was the executive director, I always felt like Jay Borzi was on my side, that he was our ambassador in the community. He has been instrumental in making Waves the annual event that it is.
I remember when I was sitting on the houseboat office a year or so after we had started the Santa Monica Baykeeper, and I had gotten a call from a guy named Daniel Cooper, who was a young lawyer that was trying to bring Clean Water Act cases across the state of California. And he showed up in my office in a t-shirt and flip-flops, and I thought, this is a lawyer? But I spoke to him for 5 minutes and I realized his passion and his knowledge was second to none, and we started doing Clean Water Act cases together. He formed Lawyers for Clean Water to help Santa Monica Baykeeper and other keepers bring Clean Water Act cases, and we've never looked back since.
I basically decided that there should be enforcement in Southern California, and that I should come down here and spend some energy trying to clean up the waters I grew up swimming and fishing and everything else in.
Through all of our work, through all of those major achievements relating to sewage contamination and industrial pollution and urban runoff pollution, through all of that time, the one constant has been Daniel and Lane and Drev and the entire crew at Lawyers for Clean Water.
We've seen a marked improvement in water quality in Santa Monica Bay, and that's in large part because of litigation that LA Waterkeeper brought against the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as litigation against the City of Los Angeles.
Since the city settled, they've reduced their spills to levels as good as anywhere in the country. They've transformed the Bureau of Sanitation into, in our view, a environmentally oriented organization. The mayor is leading the way on low impact development and green infrastructure for stormwater capture and reuse and local sourcing for water supply. The city has transformed itself from the most hostile actor in Southern California in terms of environmental protection and water quality to a leader.
Without a doubt, I think the biggest accomplishment was this settlement with the city of Los Angeles. By far and away, that was the biggest victory, and it just really pointed out to me how someone who is an adversary can actually turn it into an ally.
SA Recycling, rather than fighting us all along, they decided they wanted to be an industry leader and they wanted to work with us.
If scrap metal's not handled properly, then it can be a disaster, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You figure if you're handling motors, they can leak oil. If you're handling batteries, you can have battery acid. If you're improperly handling turnings, there's a lot of different things that can go wrong. At the same time, to handle scrap metal properly is not difficult as long as you focus on it and put the proper controls in. Throughout the facility, between our basins, between our tanks, we can hold 3 million gallons. As much as possible, we try to keep all this water on site. The one area that we do not try to have a competitive advantage is on water treatment and is on water controls that we do. We have an open door.
SA Recycling has really emerged as a leader. Obviously, they're a leader when it comes to scrap metal, but they've also shown that they can comply with the law and manage their stormwater and their on-site pollution in a way that not only makes them compliant and gets LA Waterkeeper out of their hair, but also it makes business sense. So LA Waterkeeper is unique because as a small and nimble organization, we're really able to adapt to changing times, to changing challenges, and I think we've done that really well over our entire history. And just recently with the kelp project, we've been able to look at where we've actually made a lot of progress when it comes to kelp restoration. So we looked for the biggest, newest challenge and started to look at invasive species in the marine environment.
All that said, though, so much more needs to happen. And my goal isn't for LA Waterkeeper to be part of that debate. My goal is for LA Waterkeeper to be driving that debate.